Good morning.
Kuha tayo sa nito kasi medyo mahal.
Ikaw naman here din.
Nandun ako sa
On this video, I want to talk about my experience giving birth to my baby. So earlier in this video, you met her, and now she's already 4 months old, and she's so playful. She loves to play and she loves to feed. So I've been a mother now for 4 months, and it's the best thing that ever happened. Okay, so I tried Googling for the frequently asked questions about giving birth, and here's my take as a first-time mom here in Japan. Number 1, when does labor start? So for me, it started later after my water broke. So I remember I was taking a nap, and as soon as I woke up, I felt like my water is going to break. So I stood up and I felt water running down through my legs, and that's when I knew that my water broke. I first called my husband, and he was at work during that time. He was really happy when I called and I told him that I feel like I broke my water because obviously our baby is coming soon. Number 2, how long does labor last? For me, it took 13 hours. It was my first time, so it took me quite a long time to labor. Number 3, what do contractions feel like? To be honest, for the first 5 hours, it felt like you were on a PMS or you were having your period. So I would rate it 2 out of 10, with 10 being the worst. So here's what I thought before I had my actual labor. I thought that your abdomen is going to ache, but actually it was the back. It was my back that hurt the most, especially around the tailbone area. It was really painful. How do I time contractions? It is important to time your contractions just so you can inform the staff when you call the hospital, and it will help them judge if they will admit you to the hospital or not yet, because sometimes they will send you back home when you're not dilated enough or you're not having enough contractions to be admitted to the hospital. When do I come to hospital? In my case, right after my water broke, I called the hospital. They told me to come to the hospital to get checked and everything. So I prepared my hospital bag and we went straight to the hospital, and they got me assessed. They checked my baby's heartbeat and also my contraction, and they told me that they're going to admit me on that night. So I stayed at the hospital and my husband left without me. It is important that you do call your hospital first. What do I bring to hospital? In my hospital, I didn't need to bring a lot of things because they gave me maternity pads, a set of pajamas that I can change into every day. So everything was almost at the hospital. What happens when I get to hospital? So when I got to the hospital, immediately I went to the delivery room and they assessed me. So they checked if it was my water that broke and not anything else, and it was positive. That's when they told me that I'm going to be admitted to the hospital. Next thing, you're going to have your labor at the hospital. Nurses will check you every time until you could actually push out your baby. What if my labor is progressing slowly? In my case, again, it took me 13 hours to labor. It was progressing slowly. I stopped dilating at 7 centimeters. The nurse suggested to the doctor that they have me induced so that my contractions will progress continuously. And after that, they gave me the drug. The contractions were getting stronger and stronger. The interval was like 30 seconds to 1 minute. It was unbearable and the pain was really uncomfortable, and I would rate the pain like 10 out of 10. Breathing techniques can work, but it's not like the first 5 hours that you can breathe through the pain. Once you get to 9 or 10 centimeters of dilation, it will really hurt a lot. All you could wish for is for your baby to come out already. Number 9, what is the best position for giving birth? I haven't tried other positions other than lying on my back with the bed slightly inclined. So I think it was a maternity bed, if that's how you call it. So that position was helpful for me to push out my baby. What is an episiotomy? So episiotomy is cutting the base of the vagina to help you deliver your baby. So in my case, I did have an episiotomy, and the doctor told me that it will be larger than usual because apparently my baby's head was bigger. So she was a big baby at the time. When can you breastfeed baby? Okay, for my case, I started breastfeeding that night. So at the hospital, what we did was that try to breastfeed 5 minutes per breast, because they told me that you should let your breast rest. So 5 minutes per breast for a total of 10 minutes, and then after that you're going to give your baby formula. And speaking about breastfeeding, it wasn't really easy at first for me. Like, my nipples were getting sore. So this body pushed out a baby, now it has to nurse it. So that's how I survived the struggles of breastfeeding a baby on your first time. Number 13, how long did you stay in the hospital? Okay, so here in Japan, I'm sure that moms have to stay 5 days in the hospital after giving birth. First, because they need to be monitored, and second, they need like full support. And the hospital was really supportive, and they had the best team to assist mothers. So during my 5-day stay, I had seminars on how to feed your baby, how to change their nappies, all the basics. They've got everything prepared for you, so it is really helpful as a first-time mom. Next question, who can be with you during delivery? So unfortunately, September of 2022, COVID was still there, so I couldn't have anyone beside me, even my husband, during my labor and during delivery. But the doctors were very kind enough to let me call my husband during delivery. So my husband was able to witness me giving birth through video call, and I think he cried at the time. So he was just really happy for that moment.